Hello, friends and family, and welcome to The Good Place, where we focus on everything that is good, positive, encouraging, uplifting in the midst of life's hardships. I'm Kim Tisor. So, when you were a kid, do you recall ever asking one of your parents or maybe a teacher how to spell something? And they responded with, go look it up in the dictionary. Now, tell me if that wasn't absolutely frustrating because, you kind of had to know how to spell a word to look it up in the dictionary. Well, responses to all kinds of questions can sometimes be insufficient for our taste and can leave us feeling frustrated. But that should never stop us from asking questions, especially the tough questions, because that is how we learn. As a matter of fact, Confucius say that the man who has all the answers is the one who hasn't been asked all the questions. Well, recently I became curious about some of the top questions that people ask Almighty Google, and a quick search unearthed some very interesting and surprising responses that I thought I would share with you. And these are the top searches of this year as of last week. Now, taking a look at the top 10 here, I'm going to highlight just a few. Number one on the list, more than 9 million people asked what to watch. Apparently, there are a lot of bored people in the world. Also on the list, this came in at number 5. How many ounces are in a cup? Obviously, we need to bring back home ec to our public schools. And another one I'll highlight on here, it's number 10. And I've asked this myself, how to lose weight fast. I asked that question along with 1.5 million other people. Now, more than 50% of respondents of a recent survey admitted they asked Google a question at least 10 times a day. And they ask all kinds of questions. But what are the more serious existential questions people are asking? Well, I have those results and I thought I would share those with you as well. And they are broken down by state. One of the top questions asked, according to Digital Third Coast, which is a digital marketing agency, is what is love? People in Alabama and Arkansas ask that question. People in the South, they're focused on love. I love that. Another popular question, what do dreams mean? That was the top question for Arizona and the people in Iowa, Kentucky, and Nevada. Or is that Nevada? Nevada, tomato, tomato. And of course, as you might imagine, is there a God? That was asked by people in Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, and Utah. And I will tell you, that surprises me that people in Utah ask that question because 65% of the people in that state are Mormon. You would assume they believe in God. Not sure how the question, is a hot dog a sandwich, made the list, but it did, apparently in Colorado and Virginia. Now, I have my suspicions as to why it made the list in Colorado, but this is a family friendly show, so I don't think I'm going to point that out to you. For the record, a hot dog is not a sandwich, and neither is a Whopper. While I'm at it, I share that because many a time I would call my husband at work and ask him what he did for lunch. And he'd say, oh, I grabbed a sandwich. I was thinking PB&J, maybe turkey and Swiss or something like that. But no, he would say, I got a Whopper or a double cheeseburger. Those aren't sandwiches. So tell me, what is the strangest question you have ever been asked? Probably from a child or a grandchild. If you recall, please share it down in the chat section because it will give us all a smile. And that's one of the reasons we are here. Now, I will tell you, I recently received the strangest question I think I've ever received, and it still leaves me in stitches when I think about it. This happened at a local park. And here's video of it right here. We were there about a week ago. I took my oldest daughter, Audrey, there. She has high functioning autism. And we attended a picnic there for people who have disabilities. And I happened to be sitting down when this young man, about 19 years of age, came and sat down beside me. And I said hello. And he asked me, do you like how it feels to throw up? And I was like, come again? I'm sorry. I'm thought maybe I misunderstood. And he asked again, do you like how it feels to throw up? And I kind of paused and said, well, I don't like how it feels leading up to it. I think, most of us kind of dread that thought of what's coming. But afterwards, you feel pretty good that you've relieved your system of whatever was offending it. And he asked, no, but do you like how it feels when you're throwing up? So I don't know. I guess I did not give him a sufficient response, even though in that moment I started thinking maybe he's asking me this because he feels sick. Maybe he feels like he's about to throw up. And so I asked him, "Do you feel like you're going to get sick right now?" And he got real quiet and he looked down, and I thought, oh no, here it comes. And he went, "Ugh," and then he sneezed. So so he didn't throw up. But he did change the subject because apparently my response was not very sufficient. Wasn't what he was looking for. And this kind of brings us back to what I mentioned earlier. Sometimes when we ask a question, the response we get leaves us feeling a little aggravated, a little frustrated because we're not getting the information we're after. But I think sometimes this happens because we ourselves have not asked the question properly. What do I mean by that? Well, let me give you an example. A few years ago, actually back when I was in my 20s, so 3 or 4 years ago. Just kidding. I was listening to a radio show, and the host was interviewing an author who was broaching this subject. It's a question that I think all of us have asked at some point in time. We wrestle with this, and that is why, if there is a loving God, why does he allow bad things to happen to good people? I know I've asked this question. You probably have as well. And he said that question cannot be answered because it presupposes that people are good. He said the real question is, why does God allow good things to happen to bad people? And I tell you what, that comment of his response has stayed with me for decades. And this whole notion of God allowing good things to happen to people, good and bad, is actually pointed out in the gospel reading in today's missal. If you didn't take a look at it, let me just quickly share it with you. This is from the book of Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "You've heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your heavenly Father. For he makes his sun rise on the bad and the good, and causes rain to fall on the just and the unjust. For if you love those who love you, what recompense will you have? Do not the tax collectors do the same? And if you greet your brothers only, what is unusual about that? Do not the pagans do the same? So be perfect, just as your heavenly Father is perfect." So, in the same way that God bestows his blessings on all, the just and the unjust, we are to do the same. We are to bless others without prejudice. Now, I certainly don't have the answers as to why God allows bad things to happen to us, to you, to me, to our loved ones. But I do believe that everything that happens on this earth is in preparation for eternity. And I believe he will use it all for good, even if we don't see it now. So if you are suffering today, please know that even though it may be unbearable, that it's only for a season. It is not for forever. And you know what? It's okay to ask questions. Ask God questions, because I think he longs for that dialogue with us and longs to give us the answers that we're looking for. And with that, thank you so much for stopping by The Good Place today. Please like the video, subscribe, share with your friends, especially those who might be in need of a little bit of encouragement. And until then, I hope you have a wonderful week filled with holy curiosity. Bye-bye.